This man has got his quarterback summit. He's got a whole bunch of folks in the National Football League that he has mentored and tutored. He spent 7 seasons in the National Football League. He is Carson Palmer's brother, Jordan Palmer. Good to see you, sir. How are you doing,
happens.
brother? I know. How
Jesse
you doing?
Palmer happens.
Oh, stop
Jordan
it.
Rogers happens
Arnold?
now when people don't really know.
Did you get Arnold Palmer? Did you get that?
I wish.
I was actually
I'll have an Arnold Palmer. I think I have water in my coffee mug.
I just had a Ron Burgundy moment, okay? I looked down at my card, and it says, for some reason, your younger brother of Carson Palmer, under many of your accolades, and I just read the name.
I'm Rich Eisen?
It's brother of Jeff Eisen. Brother of Jeff Eisen. Yeah, go. Yeah, I don't have no message for San Diego, thankfully. Okay, let's get into this. I saw Kyle Allen. It's funny. I look down at my phone when I'm in London, and I'm in the meeting with all the guys getting ready for the game, and it's a video from you. You texted me this video that I guess you put together, mashed up of not only his play,
Somebody sent me from a clip that I had when I was sitting in this chair.
Is that what that was? Yeah, you were sitting here from this chair talking about Kyle Allen when you were here a couple of years ago prior to the draft.
Yeah.
And what he's done for Carolina has been amazing. I'm calling the game, and I thought he was sitting in a rocking chair, not making his 5th career start. Yeah. Jordan, I mean, what do you think of what he's been able to do? Is this a surprise to you in any way, shape, or form?
Well, I mean, the level of success, some of the things, the first 5-0 undrafted guy, like some of the notable stats or whatever. Yes. Surprised, it's cool, it's exciting. I'm not surprised that when he got his opportunity, he was going to play well. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I said that 3 years ago, sitting in this chair, that he's going to be a guy who plays in this league when he gets an opportunity. The poise that you don't have to know a lot about the position or the sport to look at a guy who's super poised and a guy who looks rattled. And from day one, he's just poised. He's been through a lot of success, and he's been through a lot of adversity, which is the first thing I think quarterbacks have to be able to deal with. And then they have to be able to, the moment can't be too big for them. And it's not so much about arm talent and height and what school you went to. Those are elements, but they're not foundational elements. And poise and confidence and dealing with adversity and success, those are foundational elements. He's always had that. I don't know more than anybody else. I just had visibility earlier and more consistently in his career to be able to say I'm not surprised.
Well, in the meeting where you texted me that video, I'm like, when was the last time he threw an interception and lost in the game? And it was the same time was when he was his last year at the University of Houston against Cliff Kingsbury's Texas Tech team a couple of Novembers ago. That was the last time either of those things happened. How long can this go on, do you think, in Carolina?
Well, I think when you have a quarterback, and because I was a backup, you go through that part of your career, and so you kind of know the situation you're hoping for. And so I think this is pretty consistent with most backup quarterbacks. Situation you're hoping for is when you get a chance to go in, the 3 elements you really want is a good run game, a good play caller, and a good defense. Having a great individual receiver isn't necessarily really valuable because you didn't get any reps with him. I backed up my brother, and we had Chad and T.O. I wasn't necessarily excited to go in the game. I had never really thrown with those guys, and it takes a lot of time. But if you have a great run game, a great defense, and a great play caller, that's really what the situation you're looking for. I look at Gardner Minshew. I think he has those 3 things. Look at Kyle Allen. I think he has those 3 things. And so with Kyle, I think this can go because the running back can continue to go. Norv Turner ain't going anywhere. And the defense can continue to go. And Kyle, outside of a couple sack fumbles, he didn't turn it over.
He's been amazing. Honestly, I'm sitting there. He threw one ball in the 3rd quarter on the sideline where Kurt was like, whoa. He just where he thought it was a little bit risky. Other than that, it was just easy, and we spoke to Todd Bowles before the game, the defensive coordinator for Tampa, said it was more difficult to prepare for Kyle Allen in the offense than it was in week 2 when Cam was potentially banged up.
Interesting.
So the question I have is, I asked Ron Rivera what happens when the doctor says Cam's 100% healthy and Cam comes to him and says the same thing, and he said, we'll see. And then mention how he doesn't deal in hypotheticals.
Yeah.
How do you think this plays out for Kyle Allen?
Well, I think what they're sitting on right now is if you look at that quarterback room, they just drafted Will Grier, who I think is going to be a really good pro in the 3rd round. They've got Kyle, who's making league minimum, as smallest amount of money you can possibly pay somebody and still have them play. And then you've got Cam, who's done all of these things, right? He's been MVP, he's been all these things. At the end of the year, the goal I would say is to have a great year, playoff run, and have Will Grier as developmental, one guy who's your quarterback moving forward and somebody that you can trade or create value for. Whether that's Cam comes back, plays at a high level, he's your guy and you can trade Kyle, or Kyle continues to roll and you've got options with Cam at the end of the year. That would be the goal. Now, you can also, it can go the other way. Kyle could start to play poorly. Cam could come back and not play well, and then you got to go back to Kyle. So there's just so many complexities with it. But this is a team that's winning, and I feel like this locker room's really rallied around Kyle, and it's a difficult, complex situation, but there are multiple good outcomes here. I just know this NFL, I would say most GMs are looking at this. The model, the desired model is cheap quarterback who can win us games.
Damn straight.
Cap space and build around it while we have this window. So we can't get into too much in the nuances of last game and this game. Big picture here, they still have some interesting ingredients.
Well, I mean, maybe the best option could be is if Cam just gets surgery or gets something going on with his foot, and they could figure out what he is again as a healthy guy. If he is healthy, the shoulder is not a concern anymore, is it?
Well, I don't know. I had said in the offseason, what he did is he had reconstructive shoulder surgery, however you want to phrase that. I don't know much about his specific surgery. He had a big shoulder surgery on his throwing arm, and then he had to rehab it. And then he spent a lot of time with Tom House, who is the best in the business in terms of retraining the throwing motion, building up the muscle. So he tried to tweak, to some extent, his throwing motion. Mm-hmm. I just think that's a lot to do in a really short offseason. The surgery itself is big. The rehab itself is big. So I don't know where he's at. I'm not sitting there watching them throw, but I know this. The foot is a period of time. Those things heal. Those are common. The shoulder, when he gets back and psychologically feels like when he gets back, I mean, Cam Newton's Cam Newton.
Right. I mean,
this guy's dominated the NFL. This isn't some guy who's, in my opinion, done by any means. It's just what's the best move for the Panthers, and it's new ownership. It's a lot of new people there, and they got a really good thing going right now.
Jordan Palmer here on the Rich Eisen Show. Is this the Sam Darnold, the one that we saw this past week, who's the AFC Offensive Player of the Week? Is this the kid?
I mean, it's crazy to see you change one player out. How different that. I mean,
right?
It was crazy. Yeah. The thing that I'm so impressed with Sam with is this was a long month. This isn't just a regular injury. This is a kind of a self-inflicted, bummer injury, and he got a lot of flack for it, and he's 22, and the new coaches are historically, underperforming as an offense, and there's just a lot that he took on, I think, in this month of being quarantined and being away from everything. Mm-hmm. Mentally, that's a challenging thing for him to be able to do that and then just lock in and do what he did the other day.
Beat the Cowboys, man. And then here come the Cowboys that it's their owner's birthday. They're in New York. Yeah. They got Romo and Nance. I mean, it's the whole country's watching. And, man, they need a win. And the Jets, I mean, Darnold was terrific. But is that who Jet fans are hoping to be? Is that the guy? Is this going to be him?
Yeah, so his ability to block everything out and just isolate this game plan, execute. Right. He showed this a bunch in his career. He did this. He did the whole one-game season at SC that year when he rolled his freshman year. He has a history of this. His first game as a rookie, he throws a pick six, then comes back and leads the drive. His ability to compartmentalize.
That was prior to last week, his best game as a pro.
Totally.
So that's the question. What I'm wondering is, Jets fans can't get one great game from Sam Darnold per year. I mean, this is it. And this week is the perfect example of it. It's Monday Night Football. Here comes Brady and Belichick into their house. These are the games that they need to win.
Absolutely.
Period.
Yeah.
And it's time to start doing that. That's why I'm wondering who he is.
Yeah, I think he's a guy who can play what he did this last weekend at a consistent level. Continuing to put pieces around him, I think they've taken strides as an offensive line. Obviously, Le'Veon with Sam is different than Le'Veon without Sam. Mm-hmm. Right? He's going to be. There's just more options. There's more things you can do with him.
Right.
And he missed out on some timing. I think they continue to build on what happened on Sunday versus the Cowboys. That's a good Cowboys team too. That's a hard game to win.
Yeah. I would agree with you.
Sam's back and everyone's excited, but it's different than bringing back some 12 years. It's different than when Breeze comes back and you literally know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah.
This is his second year. And so for him to come back and those guys to rally and play confident and play good on D and run around and fly around and make plays, that was exciting to see. And I think Sam's going to be able to build on this.
Well, and then, of course, from your Jordan Palmer here on the Rich Eisen Show, guys that you have mentored, and worked with. I mean, Josh Allen is a guy that we should be talking about too here. He's 4-1. The Bills are quite a surprise so far. How much, what does he need to work on right now?
I think, well, the thing that this offseason really was dedicated to, it was just developing more touch and anticipation. Not in him learning how to throw with touch. He has a really strong arm, and people usually, when a guy has a big, strong arm, they think that they just throw the ball hard all the time. Josh has the ability to do everything, but because he has a strong arm, traditionally over his career, he's waited and been able to drive it in there and fit it into windows that no one else can. And so he's really developed, and Cole Beasley is helpful in that regard, and John Brown, the addition of receiver, is helpful in that regard. So he's gotten a lot better as the season's gone on with touch and anticipation. But for him, it's continuing to get better at situational football. It's no surprise. They have a really good defense, and they're running the ball, and they're really efficient in the red zone. I think on their 14 trips, they've scored 10 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So it's getting better at protecting the football, managing the game. When you have a defense like that, and you have a high completion percentage, it's really managing the game and playing really good situational football. And I think that's the biggest opportunity, because I like a lot about the Bills. I like their play caller. I like their defense. There's just a lot to like there. And they're in pole position right now, being, I think, 4-1.
They are. They're staying as much as they can on the Patriots' tail, and right now they're leading the pack in terms of a wild card spot. Jordan Palmer here on the Rich Eisen Show. Is Josh Rosen a cautionary tale, a sad tale? What type of tale is what's going on with Josh Rosen?
It's a bummer, because I know he can play. He's got all the physical tools mentally. He's off the charts intelligent. You just look at, and this is a bummer, this is now 2 different isolated situations, different teams that I just don't think are situations where you can find success. Arizona last year, combination of it's not an indictment on Arizona. It was the situation. It was the personnel. It was injuries. It was a new staff. Really difficult situation.
Fired the offensive coordinator in the middle of the season.
McCoy early on, and then he goes to Miami, and all the chaos that's kind of ensuing there. And he's just been in 2 kind of situations where I don't see how you succeed, and I feel for the guy. I will say this, though. This is a right place, right time league. Wrong place, wrong time league. Whether it's you making the cut, Kyle Allen, or a superstar getting drafted by the wrong team, and his career would have gone different. Either way, so it's right place, right time. And he's been in the wrong place, the wrong time twice. I think it's a matter of time. If he gets in the right place at the right time, I think he's a guy.
So what's the right place for him? I mean, give me a right place scenario.
At this point, anything is up. I don't know about I don't know about a team, or to say this team that
Well, I mean, a scheme of somebody that's out there.
I think
Does
he can
need
play
to
in
be
a lot of different schemes. I don't think he has to play in some specific scheme.
Do you think he's going to get a shot? He's got to get a shot as a backup and then get in. I mean, is that the way it's going to have to go?
Depends on what Miami does, right? Because if they're going to take somebody at 1 or 2 this year,
we all know what they're going to do. We all know what they want to do. We all know who they want. I mean, there's no secret.
Fitzpatrick is going to screw it up, though.
I mean, it's entirely possible that he's going to win 2 games, and then all of a sudden they're not going to have Tua. Because I heard that, Jordan. I mean, you're in this business. Mm-hmm. I heard that at the draft in Dallas.
Yeah.
2 drafts ago. Yeah. I heard the Dolphins are so in love with Tua, and they're going to make sure they get him.
Yeah.
I heard that 2 drafts ago. Yeah. So we all know. I mean, Miami. He'll either be a back. I mean, and I assume they're not going to want somebody in their 3rd year in the quarterback room backing up Tua. They're going to want to bring in somebody.
Yeah, and people have gone about that differently. I mean, the Redskins went with 2 rookies from the same draft class, and Kirk Cousins and RG3. So there's different ways to do it. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is one of the best guys to have on your team if you're developing a young player.
Sure.
But I think Josh Rosen could be great at that as well. And so it just depends on what Miami does, and if he gets out of there. And I would love to see him become an unrestricted free agent, Josh Rosen, and get a chance to go somewhere and compete and choose his own destiny. Because the biggest difference between college and pro is in college, these kids pick where they want to go. In the pros, he was drafted Arizona and he was traded to Miami.
Right.
He had 0 say in either of those. I'd love to see Rosen get a chance to choose his path.
The only issue of being a young quarterback with Ryan Fitzpatrick in the room isn't because of who Ryan is or what he wants or how open he is to mentor. It's just that he's got this aura that for some reason he will always wind up getting in the game as the starter. I've never seen. It's uncanny.
Yeah. I've never played with him. He's one of the most difficult guys to ever compete against because he's so likable. Everybody loves him. He's hysterical. He's smart. He's witty.
And he always gets a start.
Yeah.
He started over you, right?
He started because Carson hurt his elbow and Ryan went in his first year.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, how many stories can you do? Yeah, so-and-so hurt them, and then Ryan got it.
Trent Edwards was 5-0 in Buffalo.
Yeah, and then who got the start?
And Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. What's going on with Haskins, do you think? Is he not ready? Is he really not ready? Could that be possible?
I think to some extent, none of these guys are ready. I mean, because they're playing doesn't necessarily mean they're ready. There's a ton that all these rookies need to develop. They may need more reps. They may need to understand the verbiage better. They may need to just play more. Dwayne's a guy, he didn't play a lot in college.
No, I know.
He only started
But neither did Darnold. Neither did Sanchez.
But they played more years, though. I mean, they really only played 1 year. Now, Trubisky is a guy who I'd say also only played 1 year.
That's right.
But with Dwayne, too, I just think it's a difficult situation right now. And that one's hard to peg down with the way that organization's ran and Jay, and now he's out. And I will say this, Kevin O'Connell, I think, is one of the next great young coaches that's going to become a big
Alabama
name.
Quarterback, right?
No, Kevin was at San Diego State.
Okay.
He was drafted by the Patriots.
Okay.
Did draft training, good friend of mine. Okay. And but he's been promoted OC. And so he's they have a good play caller. They got a good quarterback room. I just think that there's a lot of uncertainty around how Dwayne got there.
Last one for you, Jordan Palmer. Next level it for me. You're also calling games, college games for Fox Sports as well. What does it look like? We all know Tua's there and Herbert. Who else is in the quarterback class that's coming up?
Burrow is a guy who caught my attention last year because the first half of the season, statistically, it wasn't super exciting. And then something changed the second half of the season. And so I got a chance to watch a little tape of both and spend some time with him this offseason. And
you like him, huh?
Yeah, you start talking to this kid, you realize this is the upper echelon of confidence of kids. And I think confidence is the most important trait in a quarterback. So it's right away where my eye goes. This kid's, in terms of the guys that I've been around, in whatever capacity, he's up there in good confidence. I'm not talking about the bad kind. And then you go, man, he's got a lot of players around him. And then you look at, I think it's Joe Murphy from the Saints who's coming over, who's pass game coordinator. They're running a lot of NFL stuff. He's getting a chance to play good teams, and he continues to play well against good teams. He had a monster Texas game. This game, he went off. He's got Bama on November 9th. He's got an awesome test in front of him. If he continues at this pace, he's going to have the SEC championship. If he's going to be able to have a resume that, Tua is maybe the only person that's comparable to.
Who else? Anybody else?
I like Herbert. I really like Jordan Love out of Utah State. Really, really talented guy. Can make all the throws. Steven Montez at Colorado has a little Josh Allen in him. Really shifty athlete, big kid, huge arm. This is going to be a more top-heavy class. I think Jake Fromm's a guy that a lot of people talk about. I think now I can say this makes sense. Jake Fromm keeping Justin Fields on the bench at Georgia.
Wow, right?
Is as impressive as any throw that Jake Fromm's made. And Fields is from Atlanta. And a lot of people wanted Fields to start. And it's not that Fields wasn't ready to dominate. Obviously.
Right, yeah.
But they just couldn't take Jake off the field. And that's as impressive as something I've seen in a while.
But nobody's pounded the table for Tua not only being number one, but being so special in terms of a unicorn than our buddy Dilfer. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's just something. Tua has an aura and a way around him when he's in the room, everybody thinks that they're going to win. They think that they can win the whole thing with Tua. He is Dilfer's term. He says there's thermostat or thermometer leaders. Thermometer tells you what the temperature is in the room. A thermostat dictates the temperature in the room.
I like that.
He's a thermostat leader.
Sounds like something Dilfer would say.
That's a Dilfer.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Tua's ready to rock. The only time I've ever used this word is with Tua. He's an explosive thrower. Josh Allen has a really strong arm. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't use the word explosive. Something about Tua, it's explosive. But he also can control it and put it where he wants.
All right, and then that you just got in my ear too. Before I let you go, are you concerned about Baker?
I'm just concerned about the whole situation.
Like what? Why?
You've got a lot of people in that team, coaches and players, who just haven't won a bunch of NFL games. You don't have a bunch of Super Bowl winners and playoff guys. Starting with Freddie Kitchens, he's been around a lot and is an awesome guy and I think a really smart offensive mind. But hadn't been. This is his first time in that situation, and then you've got OBJ and all these really big personalities. But it's not a bunch of guys who've won at other places, and they're bringing that winning mentality in. And so now that things are getting difficult, it's hard if you don't have that, not just the vocal leader, but the experienced guy in the locker room. And I was with the Bengals when it was Chad, T.O., Pac-Man, Tank Johnson, Chris Henry, Cedric Benson, rest in peace. Like a lot of big personalities, but you had a Carson Palmer. You had a Marvin Lewis, people who had been there and can corral those things. That's, I think, the void there. And so I just don't know how long all the talent and stuff takes you. And that division is, it's up in the air, but there's still some good teams in it.
Good to see you, man. Let's get you back on as soon as possible.
Thank you.
As much as you'd like. Jordan Palmer at JW Palms on Twitter, at Jordan Palmer on Instagram.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.